Hello. I've been reminded gently and not so gently to show up as someone who has the ability to hold space in a certain way, right? So, first of all, I would like to just put the energy of gratitude and gratefulness out to my friends, to the people that hold space for me in community, to mentors of mine who have shown up and who have held space for everyone that they have been called to hold space for in the way that they have been called to hold space. And I'm being very intentional about those words for multiple reasons. I'm very aware that it is a Wednesday, that it is Mercury hour for me, and that Mercury is in Sagittarius. And though you may not see how that affects me, I know how that affects me. And so I was tempted not to show up, but I just want to hold space the way that I know how, and do my part. As I have been on this journey discovering or rediscovering my real self, right? There's some things that are undeniable about me. And my level of hope and optimism, as well as my sensitivity to emotions and my newly established and strengthening learning how to strengthen my boundaries. All those things are true about me and things that I need to accept about me. And I've been preaching to whoever would listen that one of the ways, my language to understand myself has been astrology. It's been super helpful, and it's helped me to own the power that I was not claiming. And so with all of that knowledge comes a responsibility of showing up the way I'm supposed to, right? So I was reminded earlier, gently, that there are people who are hopeful and that are able to hold the frequency of hope for people who feel very hopeless right now. And as one of those hopeful people that grew up very sensitive and also not very confident, not very self-aware, and not very self-assured, I allowed myself to mold to other people who were less hopeful. And I allowed myself to dim my optimism, and some would call it light, and all of those things. I allowed myself to be as harsh and reality-based as the people around me until I realized that, one, that doesn't work for me, and two, that my hope and my optimism is a gift. And so I offer it as a gift to you. If you are feeling hopeless, I can understand. I have those moments too. And they feel very heavy and very deep and very burdensome. But they don't move me. And I try to remind myself that It's not a place that I enjoy to stay or remain. I also have learned to remind myself to feel into those moments and those feelings. And they allow me to really enjoy when I am hopeful again. And so I'm coming to you, holding this space from the ability to see a hopeful future. I promised there. And I am not dismissing seeing this first, seeing the reality of what is playing out. I'm not denying that. I saw it. I see it. But I choose not to remain in it. And so I encourage you to do what is best for you. And I very, very much encourage you to seek people who can hold space for you the way that you need, that you can't do for yourself. Just like I needed a reminder that it was okay that I am a hopeful person, and to be that, to hold that frequency for people who aren't able to right now. I needed that reminder. I promise you I did, because I felt the pull from early today. And I decided, okay, fine, we'll compromise. I'll compromise with this inspiration. And I said, okay, 7:00, Mercury hour, I'll show up. And as we were getting closer and closer throughout the day, I was not enforcing my boundaries. I was allowing them to kind of falter and grow weaker. And I felt the difference. And so obviously I didn't want to show up. And then I got that nice gentle reminder that was like, hey, it's okay to show up exactly as you are. It's okay to communicate the best that you know how. So I just want to share that reminder to all of you, anyone that receives this message. And I deeply, deeply want to encourage you. If you don't already know, reach out to me. I will help you to understand yourself just a little bit better. If you're anything like me, like what they say about sun signs, that it's being your ego and things like that. Well, my sun sign is at the bottom of the ocean. No, literally. So it's very hard for me to see myself. It's been very hard for me to see myself. And if you're anything like that, like if you have heavy Pisces placements, if you have Neptune or Jupiter in your first house, if you have your sun in the 12th house, if you have anything like that, like Pisces sun, all those things, you probably feel very deeply, and you probably are boundless, and you probably don't have, it all depends on personal placements, by the way. There's other things that support who you are in your chart, but if those things are in the same energy and very, very strong, that Pisces energy, it's probably hard for you to see yourself, as well as for others to see you as you, right? To see you as just you. And when that's the case, boundaries are so important, because what I had to learn the hard way was that being boundless in your depth of feeling, your ability to feel deeply, is only useful, truly useful, to you and others when you can decide, like when you can consent to it, right? When you don't feel like pulled and pushed and thrown by it, right? When you walk into a room or a space and you feel everything everyone's feeling, you can, especially if you were born that way, which most people who feel like that are, you can feel like that's who you are, that's who you've always been, and that is true. However, having no boundary around that, it's not helping you, and it's not helping the people around you who you are being empathetic and compassionate to. Because they don't know how deeply you're feeling. And how deeply you are feeling, if you are feeling like that all the time, it can be vastly overwhelming. You can feel like you don't want to be in your body. You probably aren't. It took me literally the last 2 years to learn how to be in my body, to the point that I can tell when things are being like pushing me out of my body. I can tell when I am at risk of dissociating. That is brand new. That is so brand new. Excuse me. But it's a testament to the importance of like learning yourself, understanding yourself, validating yourself, who you are, what you feel, that you do feel what you feel, that you do see what you see, that you've experienced what you've experienced, and that it can be unique to you. Not saying you're the only one, but if your reality, if you look around and you see people around you seem like they don't understand what you're going through, they probably don't. You probably have to experience the more vast, expansive, global human race, to be able to feel like you are understood and like you are related to. So I'm saying that to say, like, what you're feeling is valid. All your feelings are valid, including the ones that are not yours. Those are valid too. And it takes time to recognize the difference between your personal feelings and everyone else's. And deciding when to feel everyone else's feelings aside from your own does not make you a bad person. It does not make you less spiritual. It does not make you less compassionate or less empathetic. It makes you in control. It makes you accountable. It makes you powerful. It gives you consent, or the ability to consent, and it gives you autonomy over your own life. So that's specifically for the feelers, the deep feelers out there. And yeah, please seek people who this is their path, to hold space for people like us, people like you, people who feel deeply. Seek those people to hold space for you. There is no need to hold space for yourself by yourself. It's not necessary. We're literally moving, like, Pluto's moving into Aquarius. This is a time for community. And like I said, I know things look bleak, but I am telling you, it's that point of the story. It really is. It's that part and point of the story. And so this is my reminder to start wrapping it up, because you see the Sag Mercury starting to seep through. So I understand. All right, I got your message. Cool. But yeah, for everyone else, if you don't feel like that, but you do feel like, the tension, or you just, feel like scared, or you feel like, your safety is threatened. Like, all of those feelings are valid, every single one of them. Everything you're feeling is valid. And it's not for, I don't know, I just want to encourage you to, like, not to judge your feelings. Especially if you are spiritual, or you're a healer, or you have any kind of belief that may look like it's the contrary of that, like, like you're not supposed to feel like this or whatever. It's fine. You're human. Humans are dual creatures. Humans have darkness and light. And it is time that we start to accept that we are both, and we cannot hold space for ourselves and for each other if we're always forcing light, right? And hear the fullness of what I'm saying when I say that, right? Because the reality is, we are light and dark, whether we want to admit it or not. And when we repress and suppress darkness, like, literally, you're just pushing darkness and shadow into its home, where it'll just get more powerful and take over you. So why not just bring it, right next to you, where you guys can walk hand in hand and be partners, and acknowledge that is half of you, as well as this is the other half of you, the light, right? You're both. You're really both. I like to think of living in a 3-dimensional reality, right, as the, bridge in between, right? Whether you say 5D or 6D, whatever the D is that you want to say, your higher self or your future self, or, the angels, whoever it is that assists you in becoming a better version of yourself, wherever they are, right? If they're above, if they're higher, they're probably looking down and have a perspective that you don't have, we don't have, right? They have a perspective of, they can see everything, they can see it all from every angle, right? And being able to tap into that is very, very useful. And being 3D, that bridge, right? Being able to, being able to be in between, where you can also look down and you see that one-dimensional, right? Like how your shadow is literally just flat on the ground. Imagine if the version of you tap into to be able to see all the sides and all the perspectives. Imagine if they looked down on you, because that's why they can see all of this. They look down on you with disgust. Imagine if they never helped you. How would you be able to navigate your life? If that's how you're looking down at the 1D version of you, it's kind of fucked up. And it's unfortunate, because they both have something to offer us, right? They do. I promise you. I'm laughing because I'm laughing at myself, really. I'm laughing because I'm thinking about how much I suppressed so much of myself in that very same way in my shadows. And so I'm just saying all of this to encourage anyone who is listening, please hear me. Please hear me when I say it is so much more beneficial to you and all of society when you start to integrate your shadow, when you start to look back, extend your hand and say, come with me. Don't walk behind me anymore. It's not necessary. When the light is able to shine on the side and your shadow is walking beside you, as well as the light shining beside you, I promise you, even in real life, when that happens in real life, even in reality, when that happens, it's like the perfect feeling, because it's not blinding you, the light's not blinding you, the light's not burning your back. it's like a nice balance, right? So living 3D and trying to collectively ascend, this is where it's at. That's what you got to do. We got to be able to tap into both. Tap into the higher self and the lower self, right? Intentionally. When you repress, you have no control over when the shadow comes out, right? And also when the light comes out, because sometimes it's like, if you're too all up in the 5D, 6D, nobody can relate to what you're saying. Nobody understands. Nobody here can understand you. And it's like, well, you have all the answers, but nobody can hear you. So who are you helping? It's funny because I've witnessed both aspects of that, in and outside of myself. So sometimes it's better to see it outside of yourself and then be able to recognize it, because it's like, oh, it's so clear. So anyways, this is a longer space than I meant to hold, but I mean, I guess if it's needed, it's needed. I invite you to ask me questions if you have. I'm an open book at this point. While Mercury's in Sag. Maybe last month I wasn't, but right now I pretty much am. And as long as we are, like, tomorrow's it's going to be a shadow period before the retrograde, which means that we're going to be in Sag, Mercury in Sag, for quite some time. So I'm probably going to be out here chatting it up for quite some time. And so I invite you to connect with me, but most importantly, to connect to the people, the healers, the space holders that can support you. More than anything, please do that. Seek them out. And I'm like, what's that called? Laser eyes to those of you who don't seek out. To those of you who don't ask for help. Whatever your reason may be, I know it's a good reason you don't ask for help. But now's not the time to do that anymore. That's the old you. New you asks for help. Because new you is aware that we are collectively moving into a community-based society. So new you is getting on board from now. Okay? If you gotta practice just offering something, because I know a lot of I'll say us because I've been there and I can still be there sometimes, so I'll say us so you don't feel alone. But a lot of us might feel like we can't ask for help, and that's just me sometimes. I'm not even going to act like I'm that humble, okay? But for those of us who are very humble, we might have a hard time asking for help, especially if we don't offer help first. If you want to offer help first, then go ahead, offer something small to open the door so that you can ask for the help that you need. Because we need people to be honest with themselves. We need to be honest with ourselves. We need to be honest with ourselves so that we can be honest with each other, right? Revelations like this are happening so that we can see what's really going on. Some of these things are not revelatory. Some of them. For a lot of us, it's not revelatory information, but for some of us it is. And for the some of us that haven't seen the full scope of what's going on under the surface, it has to be exposed. It does. And it's the ugly truth. And I don't mean to dismiss it, but I do mean to emphasize, ask for help. Seek community. It's important. And I promise you, the people who are offering help, letting them help you is helping them too. Every time I do readings for people, it makes my identity so much clearer to me. I know that sounds crazy, but it's not, because literally my son is at the bottom of the ocean. I keep telling you this because it's true. That means I am very hard to understand. I cannot understand myself unless I dive deep into myself. And that's also probably hard to conceptualize. But it helps sometimes to have someone who I can dive deep with, right? So I can see myself clearer, right? So I'm actually wrapping up. But you can rewatch this once I post it. I said a lot of things, but long story short, please seek community, please seek support. There are a bunch of people who are gifted to hold space in a very specific way, and we all have different needs, right? We're all different and unique, and if you don't know how you need support, I do readings, astrology readings, to help with that. There are a bunch of other ways that you can kind of tap into understanding your identity better. But like observation, self-observation is key. First thing, taking a breath and just like noticing yourself, paying attention to yourself, right? After that, ask for help. Do it. We're moving into a community-based society. Once Pluto finally gets comfortable in Aquarius, we will be community-based. And so support community is going to continue to be more and more significant and important. So that's all I got. But yeah, you're welcome to ask, share, whatever. I'm here.